The intercepted cry, the asteroid mining station Horizon 7, drifted through the outer reaches of the solar system, its massive communication arrays constantly scanning the cosmos. Lieutenant Sarah Chun sat alone in the monitoring room, her third cup of synthetic coffee growing cold as she reviewed the night's data streams. After 5 years of listening to cosmic static and routine colony transmissions, she had learned to spot anomalies quickly. Tonight, something was different. A signal appeared on her screen, pulsing with mathematical precision. It wasn't random cosmic noise or a pulsar's rhythmic heartbeat. This was structured, deliberate, and completely alien. Sarah's hands trembled as she isolated the frequency and began recording. The signal was powerful, carrying layers of encrypted data that her systems had never encountered before. She reached for her communicator and called Director James Walker, who answered on the fifth ring with obvious irritation. "Chun, this better be important. It's 4 in the morning. Sir, I've detected an artificial signal from outside our solar system. It's not human in origin." The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds before Walker responded. "Don't touch anything. I'm on my way." Within an hour, the small monitoring room had transformed into a bustling command center. Dr. Michael Torres, Earth's leading xenolinguist, hunched over a terminal alongside cryptographer Dr. Amira Hassan. They worked and focused. Silence, occasionally exchanging excited observations as patterns began to emerge from the alien transmission. "The mathematical foundation is base 12, not base 10 like ours," Torres announced. "But look at these repeating sequences. They're using prime numbers as markers between different types of information." Hassan's fingers flew across her keyboard. "There's geographic data here, star charts, I think. And these patterns look like warning symbols, repeated multiple times with increasing urgency." Director Walker stood behind them, his weathered face showing the weight of what this discovery meant. First contact with an alien civilization, but not the peaceful greeting humanity had always hoped for. This was something else entirely. As the hours passed, the message slowly revealed itself. The beings called themselves Zeridians, a species that had achieved interstellar travel centuries ago. Their civilization spanned 12 star systems, connected by trade routes and cultural exchange. They were explorers and builders, not warriors. But now they faced extinction. The message described an enemy they called the Vorthan Empire, a militaristic civilization that consumed resources and enslaved populations across the galaxy. The Vorthans had already conquered 8 Zeridian colonies, and their main fleet was approaching the Zeridian homeworld. The message contained evacuation coordinates, warnings to their outer colonies, and technical specifications for their defensive systems. "They never meant for us to receive this," Dr. Torres said quietly. "Look at the transmission vector. This was aimed at their colony in the Kepler 442 system. We just happened to intercept it because Earth was in the signal path." Sarah studied the translated text appearing on her screen. The Zeridians wrote about their children being evacuated, their libraries being destroyed to prevent the Vorthans from gaining their knowledge, their acceptance that their 1,000-year civilization would end within days. "We have to help them," she said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. Walker turned to her with a mixture of sympathy and pragmatism. "Lieutenant, these beings are 48 light years away. Even with our fastest ships, it would take months to reach them. And we'd be entering a war between 2 advanced civilizations we know nothing about." But Sarah wasn't ready to give up. She pulled up another section of the transmission. "Sir, look at this." They included technical specifications for something called a fold drive. If our engineers can understand this technology, we might be able to reach them in time. Dr. Hassan examined the data with growing excitement. "This is incredible. They're describing a method of bending spacetime, creating shortcuts through the universe. It's theoretically possible, but we've never had the mathematical framework to attempt it. Walker made his decision. I'm calling an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. Torres, Hassan, I want a complete translation ready in 2 hours. Chun, you're coming with me. If we're going to convince Earth's leaders to risk everything for aliens we've never met, we'll need the person who discovered the signal. The Global Defense Council convened in New Geneva, representatives from every major nation, gathering in the reinforced bunker that served as Earth's military command center. General Patricia Knox, commander of Earth's combined fleet, studied the translated message with professional skepticism. You're asking me to commit our entire defense fleet to save strangers, she said bluntly. What happens if this Vorthan Empire follows us back to Earth? We could be inviting our own destruction. Sarah stood before the assembled leaders, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. General, the Zeridians included their defensive capabilities in this message. They have energy shields, advanced sensors, technologies we've only dreamed about. If we save them, they could share this knowledge with us. But more importantly, this is about who we are as a species. Are we the kind of people who hear a cry for help and ignore it? President Maria Rodriguez of the Americas Union leaned forward. How many lives are we talking about? Based on the population data in their message, approximately 3 billion Zeridians remain on their homeworld. Dr. Torres answered. Their evacuation ships can only carry a fraction of that number. The debate raged for hours. Military advisors argued about the tactical risks. Scientists emphasized the technological opportunities. Philosophers and ethicists debated humanities. Moral obligation to respond. Finally, President Chen Wei of the Asian Coalition spoke. Throughout our history, humans have taken impossible risks to help others. We've crossed oceans to rescue strangers, entered burning buildings to save people we've never met. This is no different, except the ocean is space, and the burning building is an entire star system. General Knox stood up, her decision made. If we're doing this, we do it right. I want every available ship ready for combat. We'll need engineers working around the clock to adapt this fold drive technology. And we'll need volunteers, because I won't order anyone on what might be a one-way mission. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours of the announcement, over 1 million military personnel volunteered for the mission. Engineers from every nation collaborated on reverse engineering the Zeridian fold drive. Scientists worked to understand Zeridian biology and psychology from the limited data in the message. Dr. Robert Sterling, Earth's leading theoretical physicist, led the fold drive project from a hastily converted warehouse in Berlin. His team of 200 engineers worked in shifts, sleeping on cots beside their workstations. The Zeridian mathematics was elegant but complex, requiring them to rethink fundamental assumptions about space and time. The energy requirements are staggering, Sterling reported to General Knox. We'll need to modify our fusion reactors to output 10 times their normal capacity. The ships will have enough power for one fold jump there and possibly one back, if we're lucky. Knox nodded grimly. How long until we're ready? 72 hours, if nothing goes wrong. Time was running out. Long-range sensors had detected massive energy signatures moving through space toward the Zeridian system. The Vorthan fleet was already in motion. Every hour of delay meant more Zeridian deaths. Captain David Armstrong commanded Earth's flagship, the U.S. Endeavour. He walked through his ship, watching crews install the experimental fold drive components. His engineers worked with desperate efficiency, knowing that any mistake could leave them stranded in deep space or worse. Captain, his first officer, Commander Jennifer Liu, approached with a tablet. Latest intelligence from the message translation. The Vorthans have weapons we've never seen before. Antimatter bombs, directed energy weapons that can pierce most shields, fighter craft that can phase in and out of normal space. Armstrong studied the data. What about the Zeridians? What are their combat capabilities? Limited, sir. They have defensive shields and some energy weapons, but they're primarily explorers and scientists. They've never had to develop military tactics like we have. That gave Armstrong an idea. Humans might be technologically inferior to both civilizations, but they had something neither species possessed: thousands of years of military history and tactical innovation. Every war, every battle, every strategy ever conceived by human minds could be their advantage. Asterisk. Commander, I want you to gather our best tactical minds. If we can't match their technology, we'll have to outthink them. As Earth's fleet prepared for the impossible, the translated message revealed more about the Zeridians. They were a peaceful species that communicated through a combination of sound and bioluminescent displays. They valued art and knowledge above all else, with their greatest achievements being in medicine and environmental harmony. Sarah Chun read through their cultural data, feeling a deep connection to these distant beings. They had eliminated disease on their worlds, ended hunger, created societies without war or poverty. Everything humanity aspired to achieve, the Zeridians had accomplished centuries ago. And now it might all be destroyed. The final preparations were underway. 15 of Earth's finest warships had been equipped with fold drives. Each ship carried humanity's most advanced weapons, shields reverse-engineered from Zeridian specifications, and crews ready to face the unknown as the fleet prepared to depart. A final message arrived from Earth's observatories. The energy signatures in the Zeridian system had intensified. The battle had begun. In less than 48 hours, it would all be over. General Knox stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, addressing the entire fleet. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to attempt something that yesterday would have been considered impossible. We're going to fold space, travel 50 light years, and enter a battle between civilizations we've never met. We do this not for glory or conquest, but because it's right. Because somewhere out there, billions of innocent beings are facing extinction, and we might be their only hope. She paused, looking at the determined faces around her. They say humans are reckless, that we take risks no sane species would consider. Today, we prove that our recklessness is our strength. Today, we answer a cry for help that was never meant for us, and we show the universe what humanity is capable. OF. The fold drives activated simultaneously across the fleet, reality bending around the ships as they punched through the fabric of space itself. In an instant, they vanished from Earth's solar system, racing across the cosmos toward a battle that would determine the fate of billions. Asterisk humanity's answer. The fold jump lasted 17 seconds that felt like 17 years. Captain Armstrong gripped his command chair as reality twisted around the Endeavour. Colors that shouldn't exist flashed past the viewports. The ship groaned and shuddered as forces beyond human comprehension pulled at its hull. Then, suddenly, it was over. They emerged in the Zeridian system to a scene of devastation. Burning ships drifted through space, both Zeridian vessels and Vorthan warships locked in their final death spirals. The planet below, which the translations had described as covered in crystal cities and bioluminescent forests, showed massive scars where orbital bombardments had already begun. Status report, Armstrong commanded. All 15 ships accounted. FOR, Captain, Commander Liu responded. But our power levels are at 12%. The fold drives are completely drained. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer announced. It's in Zeridian. Our translation software is working on it. The message appeared on screen. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves. This is Coordinator Zara of the Zeridian Defense Command. Our world is under siege. If you are hostile, know that we will defend ourselves. If you are here to help, please, we beg you, hurry. Armstrong activated the communication system. Coordinator Zara, this is Captain David. Armstrong of Earth, we received your distress signal. 15 human warships stand ready to assist. The silence lasted several seconds before Zara responded, her translated voice filled with disbelief. Earth? We know nothing of your species. How did you reach us so quickly? Our message was sent only days ago. We intercepted your transmission and reverse engineered your full drive technology. Now, what's your tactical situation? On the main screen, a holographic figure appeared. Zara was unlike anything humans had imagined. She stood 7 feet tall, with crystalline skin that pulsed, with soft blue light. Her 4 arms moved gracefully as she manipulated the tactical display, and her large eyes showed in depth of intelligence and desperation. The Vorthan fleet consists of 60 warships. We have 11 vessels remaining, all damaged. They are preparing for a final assault on our planetary shields. Once those fall, they'll destroy our cities and enslave our population. General Knox, commanding from the Endeavor, studied the tactical display. The Vorthan ships were massive, each one 3 times the size of Earth's largest vessel. Their weapons were charging for what looked like a coordinated strike on the planets. Northern Hemisphere. Coordinator, what are the Vorthan's tactical patterns? How do they typically engage? They advance in formation, overwhelming defenses with superior firepower. Their shields are nearly impenetrable, and their weapons can destroy our ships with a single hit. We've tried everything, but we're not warriors. We don't know how to fight like this. Knox smiled grimly. Well, humans have been perfecting the art of war for 10,000 years. Captain Armstrong, implement tactical pattern Thermopylae 7. Armstrong. Understood immediately. All ships form up in narrow passage formation between the 3rd and 4th moon. We're going to force them into a bottleneck. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, despite their low power levels. They positioned themselves in the narrow gravitational corridor between 2 of Zeridian's moons, where the larger Vorthan ships would have limited maneuverability. Supreme. Commander Thax of the Vorthan Empire watched the new arrivals with contempt. These primitive vessels dared to challenge his fleet? Their ships were small, their weapons laughably weak compared to Vorthan technology. Destroy them, he ordered. All ships advance and obliterate these fools. But as the Vorthan fleet entered the corridor, humanity's trap was sprung. The Earth. Ships had deployed thousands of mines in the passage, devices so primitive that Vorthan sensors hadn't even recognized them as weapons. The first wave of explosions caught 3 Vorthan ships by surprise, their shields unprepared for simple chemical. Explosives. Impossible. Thax roared. How did they hide weapons from our sensors? His tactical officer was equally confused. Sir, these aren't energy weapons. They're using primitive chemical reactions and metal fragments. Our shields were calibrated for advanced weapons, not ancient technology. Captain Armstrong coordinated. The human attack. Phoenix Squadron. Implement Napoleon's revenge. Dragon Squadron. Execute Hannibal's gambit. The human ships split into small groups, using tactics developed in Earth's ancient wars, but adapted for 3-dimensional space combat. They struck at the Vorthan flanks, retreated before the enemy could respond, then attacked from another angle. It was guerrilla warfare in space, using speed and unpredictability against superior firepower. Dr. Lisa Park, aboard the science vessel U.E. Darwin, had made a crucial discovery. Captain, the Vorthan shields operate on a frequency modulation. We've seen before. If we adjust our weapons to alternate between high and low energy bursts, we can create resonance waves that destabilize their defenses. The information was immediately transmitted to all human ships. Within minutes, Earth's weapons were recalibrated. The next volley of human attacks showed dramatically improved effectiveness, with several shots penetrating Vorthan shields and damaging their hull. Coordinator Zara watched in amazement as the humans fought. They moved chaotically, yet purposefully, each ship seeming to act independently while somehow maintaining perfect coordination. The Vorthans, used to formal battle, lines and overwhelming force, couldn't adapt to humanity's unconventional tactics. "How do you fight this way?" she asked General Knox. "It seems like chaos, but it's working." Knox never took her eyes off the tactical display. "On Earth, we call it organized chaos. Every ship captain knows the overall objective, but they're free to achieve it however they see fit. The Vorthans are used to enemies who fight predictably. We're giving them something they've never encountered: human creativity in combat." The battle raged for 3 hours. The humans lost 4 ships, their crews sacrificing themselves in ramming attacks that disabled larger Vorthan vessels. But 4. Every human ship lost. 3 Vorthan warships were destroyed or crippled. Commander Thax grew increasingly frustrated. These primitives should have been obliterated in minutes, yet they continued to fight with suicidal determination. His fleet was being slowly whittled down by an enemy that refused to acknowledge their technological superiority. "Supreme Commander," his intelligence officer reported, "we've analyzed their tactics. They're using historical battle strategies from their homeworld, adapted for space combat. Their coordination isn't technological, it's cultural. They've been practicing warfare for millennia." Captain Rodriguez of the UE's Valor had an idea. "General Knox, the Zeridians included specifications for their communication systems in the original message. If we can patch into their network, we might be able to coordinate with their remaining ships." Within minutes, human and Zeridian vessels were linked in a joint communication network. For the first time in their history, the peaceful Zeridians found themselves part of a coordinated military operation. "Zeridian vessels," General Knox commanded, "your shields are stronger than ours. We need you to form a protective barrier while our ships execute attack runs. Can you do that?" Zara hesitated. Her people had never taken offensive action before. But as she looked at the burning cities on her world below, she made a decision that would change Zeridian culture forever. "Yes, General. Tell us what to do." The combined human Zeridian fleet reformed into a new configuration. Zeridian ships provided mobile shield platforms, while human vessels darted in and out, striking at Vorthan weak points identified by both species' sensor data. The synergy was remarkable, each species contributing their strengths to cover the other's weaknesses. The tide of battle shifted decisively when Lieutenant Sarah Chun, monitoring from the Endeavor, noticed a pattern in Vorthan ship movements. "General, their flagship is transmitting coordination signals to the other vessels. If we can disrupt that ship, their entire fleet will lose cohesion." Armstrong saw the opportunity. "All ships, concentrate fire on the Vorthan flagship. Everything we've got." The combined fleet turned their attention to Thax's massive command ship. Human missiles, Zeridian energy beams, and even debris from destroyed vessels were hurled at the flagship. Its shields held for several minutes, then flickered and failed under the unprecedented assault. Supreme Commander Thax watched his bridge explode around him. These primitives and pacifists had somehow defeated his superior fleet. As his ship broke apart, he sent a final message to the Vorthan Empire: "Beware the humans. They are unlike anything we have encountered." With their commander gone, the remaining Vorthan ships retreated in disorder. Some fled into deep space, others surrendered to the Zeridians. The battle was over. On the planet below, billions of Zeridians watched as their skies cleared of enemy ships. The impossible had happened. They had been saved by a species they hadn't known existed, one that had risked everything to answer their cry for help. Coordinator, Zara invited General Knox and Captain Armstrong to the planet's surface. The crystal cities, though damaged, still stood magnificent in the binary sunset. Zeridians emerged from shelters, their bioluminescent skin creating patterns of joy and gratitude as they saw their human saviors. "Why?" Zara asked simply. "Why did you risk your lives for strangers?" General Knox looked at the assembled Zeridians, being so different from humans, yet somehow familiar in their relief and gratitude. "Because we heard your call for help. On Earth, we have a saying, 'No one left behind.' When we heard your message, you became part of that promise." The aftermath of the battle brought unprecedented cooperation. Zeridian engineers worked with human scientists to improve the fold drive technology, making it safer and more efficient. Human military advisors helped Zeridians develop defensive strategies while maintaining their peaceful philosophy. Dr. Torres established the first human Zeridian language exchange program, finding that despite their different biology, both species shared concepts of family, art, and the desire to explore. The Zeridians' advanced medical technology could cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries, while human agricultural techniques could help Zeridians recover from the ecological damage of the war. Captain Armstrong stood with Coordinator Zara in the rebuilt communication center, now modified to maintain permanent contact with Earth. "This signal that brought us together," he said, "it was never meant for us, but maybe that makes it even more important. It proved that compassion can cross any distance, that help can come from the most unexpected places." Zara's skin pulsed with warm colors of agreement. "Your species is young compared to ours, but you've taught us something invaluable. Sometimes survival requires not just intelligence or technology, but the courage to fight for what's right. You've given us not just our lives, but a new understanding of what it means to protect those we care about." 6 months later, the first permanent human embassy was established on the Zeridian homeworld, while a Zeridian cultural center opened on Earth. The fold drive technology revolutionized both civilizations, opening the galaxy for peaceful exploration and trade. But more importantly, the rescue of the Zeridians sent a message to every civilization in the galaxy. Humanity had arrived on the interstellar stage, and they would stand with those who needed help, no matter the cost. The signal that was never meant for them had become the foundation of humanity's greatest alliance and their introduction to the galactic community. It proved that sometimes the most important messages are the ones we're not supposed to hear, and that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or weapons, but their unstoppable determination to help others. As new communication arrays were built jointly operated by humans and Zeridians, they listened together to the cosmos, ready to answer any cry for help from any species, anywhere in the universe. The message was clear. In this vast, dark universe, no one would stand alone as long as humanity could reach them. The story of the signal spread throughout known space, inspiring other species to reconsider their isolation and fear. Alliances formed, technologies were shared, and slowly the galaxy became a little less dark, a little less lonely. And it all started because a human communications officer, working the night shift on a remote station, heard a cry for help that was never meant for her, and decided that someone should answer it.